classical music? Well, a long time ago, when someone said classical music, it comes from the classical era.
Is that how it is now?
Well, for some serious musicians, this is true, but most people have expanded the term classical music to many other eras.
When was the classical era?
The classical era was from about 1750 to 1820.
What was the music from the classical period like?
Great question. Some distinctive characteristics include a clear tune that sometimes made the classical era sound like the Baroque era. Also, it changes in the pitch. Another is the name. The same name keeps coming up through the whole period.
Who were the composers from the classical era?
Great question. I have a little film to show you about the composers and their history.
Hello, my name is Kirov Students, and I was born in 1740, and I am a German composer. I am most skilled at composing operas. I studied music and philosophy at the age of 18. The first opera that I composed was in 1741. I became a Kapellmeister in 1754 to Maria Theresa of Austria in Vienna. I even composed the ballet Don Juan in 1761.
Gluck was born in 1714 and died in 1787. Gluck wrote beautiful operas that are still listened to today. When Gluck first started composing operas, they were Italian style. Gluck's main goal was to make the drama of the opera more important than the singing.
My name is Karl Bonk, and I was born in 1714 in Germany. I come from a long line of talented music composers. At the age of 7, I could play my father's keyboard music on the spot. I was a harpsichordist in Berlin to Frederick the Great of Prussia in 1740. In 1767, I resigned from my job in Berlin and got a huge job as a music director in Hamburg.
Bach was a leading composer of the classical period. His only teacher was his father. He went to law school but never had any intention of doing anything but music. Bach was really skilled at the flute. He wrote religious music, songs, chamber music, symphonies, concerti, organ sonatas. When he was in Berlin, his music was very old-fashioned, but when he went to Hamburg, his music got an adventurous taste and he started bringing in new music styles. When he performed, everything was precise and he used a lot of emotion.
Action.
My name is Joseph Haydn, and I was born in 1772 in Austria. At the age of 8, I was hired to sing in a choir. There I learned how to play the keyboard and the violin. After I left the choir, I had to support myself by teaching and playing the violin. I was lucky enough to gain the role as Kapellmeister in 1761.
Haydn's music is very well known. Haydn was skilled at everything. His music was original. His quartets had passion and a lot of emotion. In the beginning of his quartets, he would have the violin start out as a soloist. Some people would even say that Haydn's music had some humor in it. He would add a loud chord in the middle of a slow, soft song. Earlier in his career, his music was not slow and relaxed, but later on he added more emotion. He would add a strong downbeat. Haydn wrote symphonies, operas, some piano pieces, and string quartets.
Hello, my name is Luis Piccolini, and I was born in 1743 in Italy. I am a composer and a soloist. I come from a long line of a musical family. My father sent me to Rome to study music, and I had so much talent that I was invited to the Spanish court. I was fired because the king didn't like one of my pieces of art and I refused to change it. I had acquired a few patrons and was doing fine until they died.
Boccherini was born in 1743 and died in 1805. Sometimes Boccherini is referred to as the wife of Haydn. Haydn and Boccherini's chamber music are almost the same, except Boccherini uses his cello as one of the main instruments. Boccherini wrote chamber music, string quintets for two violins, string quartets, string trios, sonatas, and some symphony.
Hello, my name is Wolfgang Mozart, and I was born in 1756 in Austria. By the time I was 6, I was performing in public. My father is a brilliant musician, and so is my sister, but not as great as me, obviously. My father tutored me in music. At the age of 5, I had already composed a small piece of composition. I would say my favorite instrument to play is the violin. My father took us on a tour around Europe to find jobs. We would spend about 6 months in each place. Then at the age of 13, my father took me to Italy and left my sister behind. When I was old enough, I went out to look for a job, but everywhere I went, I had to start at the bottom. I've quit a lot of jobs so far, and I am still trying to find a job.
When someone is talking about the classical era, most people will think about Mozart. He is one of the most famous composers ever. Mozart wrote symphonies, opera, solo concerto, chamber music, and piano sonatas. Mozart would take old ideas and make them more technical and more emotional. He wrote some religious music. In Mozart's music, he used balance and clarity. In his tour of Europe, he met many famous composers like Bach. The only problem with Mozart was that he was very full of himself. Mozart could not keep a job because he always thought he should be number one and get better pay. He did deserve it, but like always, you have to go from the bottom up. Mozart was also very hard to work with because he would always want to do it his way. Mozart died in 1791.
Ludwig van Beethoven. I was born in 1770 in Germany. I am a composer and a pianist. My father was a musician, but most of the time he was drunk. My grandfather and godfather are my pride and joy. Sadly, my father taught me music. He would beat me every time I messed up. My father taught me violin, and organists around the town would usually give me a lesson. When I would perform, my father would always say I was younger because he wanted me to sound better than I really was. I have many compositions, but I am slowly losing my hearing.
Beethoven is one of the greatest composers ever. He is considered one of the great beasts, Bach, Brahms, and Beethoven. His music broke many of the rules of music, and he used strong emotion in his music as well. Later on in life, he started losing his hearing, and that stopped him from performance. Some of his best music was in the last 10 years of his life.
Did everybody like that movie?
Yes.
Okay, class, does anyone know what kind of music is in the classical era?
No.
Well, very quickly, before you all go, in the classical era, music, the mood changes. It could go from a sad feeling to all of a sudden an excited mood. The rhythm could have expected pauses and short and long notes. Beethoven was the end of the classical period. The music is much simpler and not as complex. Well, that's it for today. Have a great day.
Thank you.
Bye.